Hi, I'm Mark, and if you're like me, you downloaded iOS 8 the other day onto your Apple devices. And now you've got it, there's lots of new features for you to play with and discover. In my other video, I went through some of the main features. In this video, I'm going to go through some of the smaller updates that Apple have made to iOS in this edition. First up is Notification Center. Whilst the changes aren't massive, Apple have made some improvements to it, allowing you to perform some tasks from it, but they've also streamlined the information that you see there, making it clearer. You also get a slightly more in-depth weather, and you've now only got two screens to go between. Next up is Siri. Apple have made lots of updates to Siri since it first launched, and this time is no different. Apple have added a new feature called Hey Siri, which you can switch on in General and Settings. The Hey Siri feature will allow you to activate Siri just using your voice by saying Hey Siri. This feature will only work if your phone is plugged in and charging, but potentially really useful if you're driving. On top of that, Siri can now recognise songs. You just have to activate Siri and ask him what you're listening to, and he will hear what's going on around you and tell you what that song is. Whilst this feature is really good, having to ask him what you're listening to before playing the song means that Shazam is probably still a better option. Next up is music updates. If you use iTunes Match, you can download more than 3 songs simultaneously in the iTunes store now, rather than having to wait for your big queue to download. On top of that, in the Music app, Apple have made some tweaks that should have been made a long time ago. There's some small interface tweaks, but more importantly, Apple have finally added the ability for you to delete more than one song at a time, a feature we lost when iOS 7 launched. This means you can delete music from whole artists or whole albums, particularly useful when you need to free up memory to update your iOS. Apple have also made some small updates to Safari. Search gets a similar treatment to Spotlight and brings up some results as you're typing. On top of that, you also have a frequently visited sites option at the bottom of your main display. On the iPad, Safari gains a few new features as well. It's now easier to see the tabs that you've got open, and they've also added a new private browsing mode. Apple have also made some basic updates to email. When you switch across to the left on a message, you now get the option to archive, flag or delete, plus easy access to more options to manage your email just from that main screen. When you create a message, the message now floats across in a window rather than taking over the whole app, which means if you want to go back to your inbox, you can just pull the message down and scroll through your inbox messages. You will also notice that the multitasking menu, when you double click your home button, now has some of your contacts at the top. This allows you to easily message and phone people just from that window. Since launching, Apple Maps has seen some dramatic improvements and is my favourite Maps app. In iOS 8 you get some slight tweaks to the interface, making it easier to use. You can also now add favourite places. Like many of the apps in iOS, Camera has also received some updates. Apple have added the ability for you to set a timer for your photos, and they've also added a new feature called Time Lapse, allowing you to create time-lapse videos. Once again, Calendar has been streamlined. In particular, you can now easily add actual locations to your events, but you can also easily delete an event without having to click Edit. And then finally, Touch ID. If you've got an iPhone with fingerprint sensor, Apple is allowing developers to start using that without sharing your actual data. This means as time goes on, there's going to be more and more apps that allow us to use our fingerprint instead of a password, and that's going to be a really exciting change. So I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to check out some of my other videos, and I will see you guys again soon.